Nacionalinio Kauno dramos teatro tinklalaidė Teatro stotelė.
Sveiki, mėly Nacionalinio Kauno dramos teatro tinklalaidės Teatro stotelė klausytojai. Mėly teatro žiūrovai, sekėjai, fanai. Ačiū, kad esate su mumis, kad esate prisijungę ir palaikote su mumis ryšį šiuo visuotinės izoliacijos laikotarpiu. Aš esu Edgaras Klivis, teatro meno vadovas ir šiuo metu šios tinklalaidės vedėjas. Šiandieną mūsų svečias yra vengrų teatro režisierius Csaba Polgar, su kuriuo mes norime pasikalbėti apie Vengrijos teatrą, jo paties kūrybą ir apie spektaklį, kurį šis režisierius statys Nacionaliniame Kauno dramos teatre, Henriko Ibseno Peer Gyntą. Su mūsų tinklalaidės svečiu mes kalbėsimės angliškai, bet mūsų tinklalaidę galite rasti platformoje YouTube, transliuojamos subtitrais lietuviškais, taigi malonaus klausimo. Dear listeners, this is the podcast of National Kaunas Drama Theatre. My name is Edgaras Klivis. I'm the artistic director of the theatre, and today I want to present you our guest, the Hungarian stage director, Csaba Polgar. As this year, he will be staging a play, namely Henrik Ibsen's Peer Gynt in Kaunas Drama Theatre, and we are all looking forward to this production with the hope that it will be the beginning of the long partnership and cooperation. Csaba Polgar is a theatre and film actor, am I right?
Yeah.
As well as stage director from Hungary, born in 1982, if you want to know. He has graduated at the University of Theatre and Film Arts in Budapest in 2007. Since 2007, he has been an actor in Örkény Theatre, an important cultural hub in Budapest. He is also staging plays in an independent pop art theatre company, an alternative theatre combining classical and innovative productions. Apart from those theatres, he has worked also in Karlsruhe, Munich, and Berlin, and playwrights that he has been staging include Ferenc Molnár, Dürrenmatt, Shakespeare, Gorky, Tancred Dorst, Jelinek, and von Kleist. He has also staged experimental plays and operas. And also as an actor, he has featured in Hungarian films, science fiction, thrillers, TV series as well. So dear Csaba, first I want to thank you for joining us on our podcast and introducing yourself to the Lithuanian audience. And without further ado, let me start our interview with something general and wide. Let us learn a little more about your Hungarian theatrical background. So, contemporary theater in Hungary. What would you consider to be the most interesting and new developments in contemporary Hungarian theatre? What do you think could be described now as an avant-garde in Hungarian theatre? I mean, maybe trends or names or theatre companies? In other words, what exciting developments take place in Hungarian theatrical stage today?
So, hello, thanks for the invitation. Greetings to everyone. In a way, we are very lucky because we have a lot of theaters in Budapest, and people, I think I can say they just adore theater and love. And due to the pandemic situation, we still have a lot of online audience. It seems like that it can work. Yes, so we have several types of theater. In Hungary, we have the more classical ones, which mainly are supported by the government and the city. So we call it the stone theaters. They have fixed building, and they have we play in a repertoire. I think it's the same in Lithuania. So we don't play en suite. We play repertoire. And I wouldn't say that there's only one new wave. There are several new waves in Hungary. Mainly, it comes from the independent scene because they have more possibilities. Less to lose, so to say, as always, and they are braver and more exploring. I think mainly, which can be a bit more specific in Hungary, that we mix the styles and we mix the impressions several times. So we don't have pure aesthetic boxes. I think, as I can see, all the new and young directors, they're really brave. They, of course, they're in a hard situation. The last 10 years, the financial conditions are not the best, and even the government doesn't seems to care about the independent scene, which is, I think, the basic of every development, because they don't have to keep their eyes on the incoming money. So they can be braver, and I think that's everywhere. That's the most important part of the theater life. And now it's a bit hard. So independent companies just stopped working. Even our company, what you mentioned, the Hoppart company, we stopped. I think 5 or 6 years ago, because that was impossible to survive in this situation. And there's a few maybe well-known director also in Europe, Victor Bodo, Cornél Mundruczó, who's also a movie director. He's got an amazing movie now, The Pieces of a Woman. I think you can watch it. It's his first American movie, and so they also work in independent scene, and they had the pressure that they have to work abroad to survive. Also, Victor Bodo had a company called Sputnik Company. They made cooperations with the theaters from abroad, and they also stopped working the last years because of the financial problems. So it's a bit like time. We are moving back in time, in the 80s or in the. So the independent companies are working in the small rooms and in flats and cellars. Okay, it's not so dramatic, but yeah, it's still I have this feeling that it's not. And also there are some bigger theaters, as our theater, Örkény Theater. We try to make co-productions and try to catch the independent artists, just to make them a better condition. And just about the waves, I think we have in the last 20 years we have a very strong. So a little bit the situation, it's a bit complicated because the Hungarian language, it's very unique. So we don't have language connections even with the countries around us. So it's a bit. It was always a problem that it's hard to open. It's hard to co-product continuously with in other countries. I mean, mainly for the actors. For directors, it's a bit easier, I think, if you can find your way. And actually, the theater is, as I have the impressions, it's the same everywhere. I mean, the emotional way of working, and so the Hungarian theater life, it's a bit closed. I think we have a big problem with this, that we are not open-minded enough. And but now we have always have an eye on the German theater, and also have a influenced with the so to say the Russian style. I mean, it's a bit more poetic and a bit more visionary theater. But we have a very strong tradition in how to say that several times we are focusing on the text. I think it's understandable what I say, and what I can see is a lack in Hungary that the artists are not. I mean, the stone theaters or in the classical theaters, they are not. They don't have bigger visions or. And of course, maybe it's a need from the audience also that they would like. It's the good old question that if you have to entertain the audience, or it's more like. Well, it's not teaching, but it's a place of talking out problems loudly, which I prefer in theater.
Okay.
Did I answer?
Yes. Yeah, we have the general view. So, do you mean that at certain point something just went wrong, so that you turned towards more these stone theaters, the institutionalized kind of theaters based on huge, companies, rather than mobile, small project theaters? Did that happen?
Yeah, but I don't think it's a problem. I think it's I like it. It's like a rainbow. There are a lot of colors on it. I prefer that. But we have a very strong tradition, theater tradition, which is in a way it's a very good tradition that we still have theaters with fixed companies. So we are not working for projects. So it's a guarantee for a long time co-productions, and when actors and directors get to know each other, it's easier to work and develop in a way. But maybe we are not flexible enough. So there in Hungary it can happen that an intendant stays for 30 years in a theater, which I think it's not healthy. I mean, it's you can even be the best director or actor or the intendant of the world, but it's still, I think it should be a bit more flexible and a bit more. You just lose your curiosity if you work always with the same people. I think so. I think that in some ways the situation is similar to Lithuanian one. Maybe it's a kind of something that is similar to Central Eastern European countries. Yeah, I think so.
So of course you can the theatrical life can be very well based also on these institutional theaters. What is problematic at this point is, I think, the more dynamic cooperation with foreign countries, with global stage, or at least European. So in Lithuania we have this feeling that this cooperation is not moving fast enough. So that way we are kind of away from the actual circulation of cooperations, co-productions, festivals, workshops and networks, especially when it comes to actors. So like you said, probably similar situation in Hungary. Of course, it's a language barrier, but also all actors of younger generation, they speak English quite well, and they can also act English. So I think that eventually it's actually related to the institutional situation in theater, that we Lithuanian actors are not really participating active enough. They are settled in huge institutional theaters. They have their work, their salary, and that's it then.
Yeah, maybe. So it's quite similar.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah. So, now speaking about the theatrical culture of any country, one should also speak about education. It's where the ideas and the new artists, new people come from. So let me just ask you, I think if Lithuanian theater people are listening to this podcast, so they might be interested in that. What, where and how are theater artists educated in Hungarian theater? How many theatrical schools do you have? And what is your own theatrical education? So we know that you have graduated the University for Theatre and Film Arts. But what kind of school do you think it is? Conservative, modern, physical, psychological, traditional, non-traditional?
Yeah. Okay. So now it's a turning point in Hungary, in regarding this area, because we have a university which is it was the only one theater and the Art of Theater and Film University of Hungary. It's 156 years old university, so it's quite an old one, traditional one. And in the last years, they founded a new one on the countryside. It's not in Budapest. It's the first one is in Budapest, and the other one is on Kaposvár. It's on the countryside. And now they just the government and the right-wing theater makers, which is nonsense to say something like this, but we still have in Hungary. Welcome to Hungary.
Okay.
They just the government made the university. They made a foundation for the university, so it's not anymore in the government's hand, which means that they can. They put their own people riding the for the leader roles, so to say. And now they took away the autonomy of the university, which means that I think it's tradition that all the universities in a country, so they have their own autonomy, and so you can learn the build up of a society and everything, and you can and now they the Senate of the university is they are just puppets. It began nearly a year ago, and we can say that it's a distraction, just totally. And myself, I also teach on the university. In a class which they are in the second year, and a lot of teachers just left, and the students occupied the building of the university, so they didn't let the new leadership in the building. They last for 75 days, which is quite a lot. And they try to went in. The new chancellor went in, but they didn't let him in, and they wanted to get back the autonomy of the university, but nothing happened. And of course, because the COVID, they had to stop it in the end of November. And now the new leadership using this time while we were not there, because I was also in guard there. Tried to save the university. They went in, and now they destroyed everything, and they brought their own teachers, and so it's really sad now. It's something just seems to be finished, and I don't know. It's really tough to see something that they just cut a tradition. I mean, it's like Carthago. They won, and then they threw salt on the ground, and we really don't know how to move on. The students still they have some hope. They try to keep on the resistance online, and try to fight with the law, but the government seems to be dull for this. They just don't care about the law, and
okay.
Yeah, it's a really big question that also for me as a teacher, because I have a class, and I of course I don't want to leave them. I mean, it's not so brave step to check out from the situation, but still I don't know how to move on. I really don't want to work with those people, and Also in the press, it was in the last half year, they wrote a lot of rubbish about all the old actors and directors and idols, and they say that everyone was the rest, something what was stayed here from the communists, and so stupid things. Yeah, populism. I mean,
yeah.
That's how it works. And and you just feel that you don't have anything in your hand. I mean, if they don't, they just negligate the laws, and then what? If the government neglects the laws, and what the fuck? I mean, it's quite a negative flow now.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Well, sure. It's a pity. Probably it is very destructive when you speak about the study programs and the whole, university, the usual normal university work. But on the other hand, at very least we can, or I think we can congratulate you that you have such politically aware students.
I think they did
occupy their own university, right? If I understood right.
Yeah.
And say that we will, So it's a kind of revolution, and then I think this revolution can be very educational as well. It's like it forms you as a personality and as an actor. I think when you think, do we need a politically engaged actors in Lithuania? I would say yes, we will. We need, yes, we. It's not only about this professionalism in acting, but also about personalities who have something to say and who have fought for their own beliefs.
For me, it's also very important to take part of the life of a society. But it's it was not. It was necessary because they didn't have any choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better if you just curious and want to turn to that point, but they didn't have any other way to go. And and they were, I think, it was what was very amazing in this time, that they just started university. Of course, there are some older students, but mainly they are very, very young, of course. They made several very interesting and very funny performances. So they used very well their abilities, and it was really touching to watch it, that they fight with their art. And and it worked very much, very well. And it's my problem is that they say, I mean, the new leadership, they say that they need a new wave in the university, and they just want to refresh it. But the sign what they are used, that it must be more national.
Yeah.
Which is a bit frightening. I mean, after the 20th century, I'm sure that they are not bad people, but using this phrase that we need more national theater and more nationally theater, it's and I don't know what it means. I mean, that it doesn't exist. The right wing or left wing theater, it's just nonsense. I mean, there's only theater which is focused and honest with the people. So I think it's a problem when they put a label on it. And and just answering your question after this shortcut, we have several also in the university. We have several styles. They have a very, very strong focus in the physical theater. I mean, we call it in Hungary physical theater, which is a mixture of I think it's a kind of dancing, contemporary dancing, and mixing with the traditional theater elements. And also we have musician actors, which doesn't mean a musical actor, but actors with a great voice, and they can use instruments and move familiar in the different music styles, from the folk music to the musical and opera, even with the opera. And we have a classical actor class every year, which is most focused on the prose and the classical acting. And also I think the university in the last years, they have a very strong puppet theater class, and they have very good connections with international puppetry life.
Okay.
Quite exciting. And also there we have dramaturgs and also one assistant. It's quite I think it works well, and a lot of things happened in the last 20 years. And they have an international festival also for universities. Now it's, of course, they stopped it because it's not national enough. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So well, this podcast is of a National Kaunas Drama Theatre. So I know this word is not like the most politically exciting words, but of course it depends on how do you define this. What is the function of national theatre? So it can be the theatre that aims at fortifying the identity, so you have your own identity, and you will not allow anyone to destroy it. So this is one position, and then, but of course, then national can mean have a more, it's kind of the place of political discussion of a society, of a country. So it's like So then, of course, it's a different meaning. It's the place where people just gather to discuss what is important for them, whatever that is, So it's rather a place of fight and not unity, So So I hope that in Lithuania we are moving slowly towards this understanding of national theatre as a place of fight, of discussion, of agon, if the Greek idea, rather than of unity and singing national anthems, So
I think we cannot call it theater. I mean, there's no
Okay. So we have.
Even it's a very, very old question. I mean, what you're trying to get to, and also we have this in Hungary. What's the reason, or what's the task of a national theater? But I always have the feeling that it's something. If you focus it in a building or on a stage, it just loses because the national is in the actors. I mean, it's inside the people. I mean, you cannot. Yeah. Of course, you can project it to everything, but it's the most important question is what excites you, what excites the people, what excites the actors, and everything can be right. Even the boring theater, it's impossible. I think that's the only thing which try to avoid the boring theater.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. Okay, so since we have touched already upon some political issues and the situation of Hungarian theater and education, theatrical education, can you, when we open our news platforms or newspapers and we see the name Hungary, it would always be, or mostly be related to, to Fidesz and Viktor Orban and conflict with the EU. So it's always this kind of, we have this picture of Hungary. So it's just a short question. To what degree do you actually feel this huge political tension that it seems is taking place in Hungary? I mean, do you feel it on a daily basis that you are in some state of tension, censorship maybe, or conflict with the government? You know, I mean, what is your actual experience? Because, you know, it can be very different what we see in the media and what we actually hear from particular people.
Yeah, it's always hard to talk about it. Yeah, but what you mentioned, that it's quite different being inside in something and watching it from I don't know, 500 kilometers away. And I think the most important thing, but I always like to tell, what prefer to tell, that it's not the last 10 years, it's the last 30 years. So after the communist regime, I think we didn't have enough time to learn how democracy works. I mean, it's not only rights, but people think that in democracy means that you have a lot of rights. But on the other side, you also have to work for it. I mean, you must be a part of the society. You have to work for developing, and sometimes it hurts. I mean, change always hurts. I mean, it's impossible to change without loss in a way.
Yeah.
And I think there was a big chaos also in the financial way. I mean, after the communist regime, we had a lot of problems of just how to be independent, and then when the populism rised, I think it was about 15 years ago, and we just learned that the politicians, they don't need any idea. They just they can change their point of views day by day.
Yeah.
They only need the only aim just to stay in their place. And I mean, it's very easy if you can find somebody who you can fight against, and then you tell the people that you have to hate these people. He's the enemy, she's the enemy, they are the enemies. They are fighting against us, and we are fighting for you. And it's always easier to. And that's what happened in the last years in Hungary. That we if you hear the news and listen to politicians, you have the feeling that we are we are still always in a fight. We are fighting with the EU, we are fighting with the USA, we are fighting with the migrants, we are fighting with Jewish, Gypsies, LGBTQ people. We're fighting with everyone, against everyone. Yes. Yeah. And I think even against us. I mean, I'm really waiting for this poster on that you are your enemy. I mean, maybe that's the final point. But that's enough for the people, and the most poisoning in the populism that you cannot be honest, because if you're honest, you become weak. So if you don't want to fight, you become weak, and they say that you are the weak person. If you try to say that, okay, sit down and think it over, then you are weak.
Yeah, sure.
You're not strong enough, and in a war you have to be strong.
Sure. Yeah.
So I really now as I feel myself that there's no way out. I mean, we are really on a track that goes faster and faster, and also when you were asking about dictator and censorship, of course that it's not so exact, and still in the last 30 years we have people can remember for the regime before, and it's inside them, so they don't have to say that it's a censorship, but people themselves try to figure out, okay, if I do this and if I say this, then they won't support me, so I will lose my job, I will lose my financial background, and okay, then I won't say that. I will say yes for everything. So it's a very tricky thing, that it's not exact censorship.
It's self-censorship, right?
Yeah. So kind of. They are only always just touching the edge of the, maybe it can be, maybe it's too much, maybe it's just try not to fight against us because we have the money.
Okay. So you're speaking now about artists.
Yeah, also artists, but I think that's generally that's and they now the government is so really. It's same in the university when they give it to a foundation university, and then even if the government change will be changed somehow, the university is in the foundation's hand. So the next government cannot change it. So and they do it everywhere, that they just get everything and say, okay, it's not for the state, it's not okay, it's the state's money, but not it's just running through the state and goes to the foundation. So you cannot change anything, and that's why it's a bit hopeless. Even if something happens, then you cannot really change. I mean, in the industrial life, and which I think is the most important. You can see even in the EU, they put so the financial reasons are the first, even if they say that they have cultural reasons, but they always say that, okay, but first the let's see the Audi factory in Hungary. It works, okay, then it's okay.
Yeah, I see. Okay. So thank you, Csaba. We have already touched upon an issue of your own theatrical vision, or how you perceive what is the place of theater, what is the aim of theater in contemporary world, whether in Hungary or anywhere else. What is the aim of your theater in contemporary world, and then how do you build your own theater? I mean, what genres or generally what aesthetics do you prefer? What influenced you, if you can say some names so we can understand? Okay. So please tell about yourself as director.
Yeah, but so originally I'm an actor, so
Okay.
I still have several times I have the feeling that I'm just acting, that I'm a director. But okay, not the last few years, but the first two works I had these feelings, and I have several people influenced. I think it's normal when you are such a living organism like theater. Even if you watch a bad performance, or a performance which you don't really like, it just sticks in your mind, and start growing. Maybe some idea came from everything, from the small seed. So I think I don't have a. If you would like to some words from my style, I couldn't describe it very properly, but which is important for me, it's always of course the actor. I mean, I'm always curious about the personality of the actors, and what they like in the play, or what they would like to express. Of course, I have a vision from everything, but I like the cooperation. I think that's the best. What I enjoy the best in theater, working together. It's and build together something. Even the smallest brick, it is very important. And I think also, okay, that maybe it's something like an issue, or something that it should be like in real life, what the ideal life, that you have to work together, and you have to make attention for the smallest brick, and then then it can build up the whole vision. Music is very important for me. Mainly, I prefer the a cappella singing. I just adore chorus. I think it's the same mania that in a chore it's just amusing me that 30 people singing together, and it's they build up one big music, and even if one person falls out, then it's not the same. So it's for music and the humor, the sense of humor. I think that's a very 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 important, maybe the most important thing, just to watch everything with a very very sharp sense of humor, even ourselves. So maybe yeah. If I want to say something very yeah, I would say that it's something that I call the cruel humanity. I mean, which is so I just love all the people, but I also see their problems, and I also see even the worst character must be something in the middle which makes him or her real, and so nobody is an evil originally, but the circumstances can make him or her an evil, and I think it's very important to show these things, that the small details in our life, when you just lose your mind. Even you can be Mahatma Gandhi, but I think even when he didn't find his toothbrush, he was losing his mind, I think. I mean, it's if we are honest enough with ourselves, it's in the same moment. It's very funny and very touching and very familiar, and I think that's very important in theater. Just to you can see heroes in a very familiar situation, and then you can live through. So you can have your empathy. Just a moment. Just Szia Péter, van még 5 perc. Köszönöm szépen. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. So I think we will use this cruel humanism in the marketing of your performance.
Big words, but maybe it sounds
yeah.
Yeah, and also sorry, just about the who influenced me. Just a few, because for me it was a very very strong impression. The Hamlet of Necrocius. I think it was the first Lithuanian performance I've seen, and also Koršunovas Hamlet was also very very strong performance. And I don't know what was the name. What was the? It was the Gorky played in the depth. I think it was also Koršunovas.
Yes, Koršunovas. Yes.
Yeah, in the white.
Drinking vodka.
Yeah. I think it was. I found it. It's a really great vision of the play, and a very very up to date vision of this amazing play. And also, what was the? I like Martaler, Christoph Martaler.
Mm-hmm.
I think his sense of humor is just amazing. And maybe that's why it came from me. This thing, this cruel humanity. I think he does it in a professional way. But in the same time, you cry and laugh. So.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, a lot of Hungarian, Tamás Asher and László Bagosi. Maybe he was working in Vilnius. He made a Lilium performance, so maybe somebody knew him. László Bagosi. It was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And Victor Bodo, also very impressive.
Okay. Okay, so, you have made productions based on classical drama, or like Shakespeare, but you've also done some experimental things. Like I was very interested in the Seven Samurais, which is my personal favorite of Kurosawa's and in general of all the adventure films. So, what was your most crazy theatrical project?
Well, I don't know. All of them was interesting in a way. For example, in Seven Samurais, it was maybe it was quite maybe it's quite interesting. There was a I don't know now the date. I think it was 2005 or sorry, I have to check it.
Yeah, 2015 it was your samurai performance.
Yeah, but just a moment. I think it was 2010 or 2009. There was a serial of killing gypsies on the countryside in Hungary, and it was totally nobody knew. There was no system in it, and it was really shocking, and it was very it was very also the press and the political discussion about it, and the people's behavior was shocking. How they interpretate this thing. And then we tried the Seven Samurais. So it was a performance which was based on documents on the movie of Kurosawa, which is we just tried to find a parallel situation, that there's a community which was attacked, and they hire samurais, and we used the documents of this serial killings of a book. There was a society worker who did actually interviews in these small villages, and he put it in a book, and we used these monologues, these interviews. So we tried to mix and try to search for the question that, is it okay if you hire somebody, if you hire seven samurais, so if you fight with the same on the same way. And I think it was a very exciting work. It was a very exciting I think I have to say that the performance was not strong enough, but so we couldn't develop it in its perfect form. But it was very exciting, and also it was very hard to work with it because of what happens, and reading these interviews. It was very shocking, and it was also the question which we had to talk about. What are the borders of the theater? I mean, if you can you use these monologues, or can you use these things? What happened not so far away? I mean, not so. It was 5 years ago or 6 years ago. Still, it's a living scarf, or what?
Sure.
How to say? So, do you have the right in theater to work with such a
the ethical questions? Sure.
Yeah, it's ethical questions, and also we try to dig a bit deeper in the with the right wing fanatics, and try to just to switch on the light, how they work, what are the deepest cuts for them, what's the how the hate works. I mean, how they build up so much hate. So yeah, I liked it very much.
Okay, thank you. That sounds very interesting, really. Now moving towards the production that you will be staging in the National Kaunas Drama Theatre. Henrik Ibsen, Peer Gynt, as I've already mentioned to you, I think it has not been staged for decades in Lithuanian theatre, although Henrik Ibsen is very popular. But Peer Gynt is something that Lithuanian stage directors never actually, went through, and then also Lithuanian audiences. So I'm very excited to see how will you crack this kind of very, very complex play.
Yeah.
Also cruel and human and funny and all these epic and dramatic, whatever, it's like all the world and in one play. But still, why Ibsen and why Peer Gynt? I know that you will be staging the play later. It's just maybe fermenting in your mind, but still, why would you choose that play?
Yeah, so there are also practical reasons, because when I go to abroad, I always try to, for the first time, I always try to find something, a play which I know. I mean, there are no language borders. I mean, of course there are language borders, but I have to know the play very well from the first time, even when we start to talk about it. And I've already played Peer Gynt, and I made a short version of it in the Kava theater, and I love the play, all with all the impossible scenes, and that's even, I think, as far as I know, that Ibsen he didn't wrote it for a stage, so he wrote it for himself, or only for readings. So I think it's very different from his all of his other plays. But which is similar, it's that he takes somebody and says, okay, here's somebody, and on the other side there's the society, and he's a bit different in a way, and let's see what happens. So he's putting his Peer Gynt character in different situations, very very sharp situations, and against the other people. I think that's it's a very very well known from Ibsen. I mean, Nora is the same. The puppet.
Enemy of the people.
Yeah. It's even Solness. The Solness is based on basically that's always the same situation. And in Peer Gynt, there's a so big tension that it's a very very tough and a very rough story in a very poetical language. I like it very much that Ibsen just plays with it. And also the character of Peer Gynt, that it's somebody who's a visionary, who's a daydreamer, but also a selfish. It's the main thing of him, and an alcoholic and
liar.
a liar, yeah. I think now the main track which I like to, which important now today, maybe it will change in the next week or tomorrow, but it's how can you build parallel realities in your own life, which I think all of us will do this. I mean, we are not brave enough, of course. We are not jumping out in and out, but I think all of us have parallel realities in a mind, and sometimes we are jumping in and then we jump back to reality, but sometimes we're spending a lot of time in the virtual and in our virtual life. And I'm not talking about Facebook and the internet. I'm talking about what's in our head.
Sure.
And also I had also try when I go to abroad, I just try to get an impression from the country or from the society where I go. And I think it's what you mentioned about the theater life. I think I still see something similar. So also in the Lithuanian and Hungarian situation after the end of the communist regime, I think we all had dreams, and we thought that something new coming, and we tried to. We thought that we can be brave, and we can be honest, and we can just dream whatever we want. It will become real. But we don't have to. We don't really want to work for it. I mean, everything should change except us. I mean,
yeah.
And it's a very typical human way of thinking. I think it's very normal. Everybody wants to be safe, and I think it's a very it's an evidence, or it's a sorry. I just try to find the English word. Yeah, that's the essence of the Peer Gynt. That he wants to save himself, but he also wants to get everything and be the king of the world. But the most important thing is just to stay who I am. And then when his mother dies, and he says, "Okay, I'll show the world who I am," and he becomes a really dickhead. I mean, an arrogant, greedy. And he doesn't know. I think he thinks that he's still a great visionary and the best person of the world, and nobody understands him. And I think we know this. If we honest enoughly with ourselves. So and of course there are a lot of amazing pictures and scenes in it. So it's very hard to make the whole play. I think it's nearly impossible, because then you just lose the small details, and you. So I wouldn't like to make a painting book, or a cartoon with the Sphinx, and so it's a journey inside somebody's head, I think, or the possibility, or when you just stop the clock, and then you go on inside and see what happened with us in the.
Okay, thank you. We have to move towards the end of this podcast, but before that, I would like just to ask you to say a few words, a few sentences about the performance that we will be streaming on our theater network tomorrow on the 28th of January. Your performance called The Most Beautiful Night of the Soul, which, if I remember right, is based on true story or documentary book, right? Of the war journalist experiencing something like post-traumatic stress disorder, and related to what is called gonzo journalism. Okay, so can you just describe the genre and of the play? Is it the gonzo theater or something like that? And what can our spectators expect from this performance?
Yes, so it's based on a book of Sándor Jászberényi. He's a war journalist, and he's working in Egypt and Tunisia and Kazakhstan, and the closer east part. And he's a very tough guy. I mean, we met him, and his and it's mainly it's documentary, but also he also says that it's not everything. So he says it's a mixed documentary and literature. So he's the writer and the journalist.
Yeah.
And he had very tough experiences. He met. He always tried to be as close as possible to the things happening there in the Tahrir Square, and even with the ISIS soldiers. And and in the book, he's the main character. And he get personal problems with his wife. They're divorcing, and he just cannot step forward, and he cannot sleep for 5 days or 5 weeks. We don't know exactly, but he's not in the best mood.
Okay.
So and I think he just trying to reach his limit. So he says, okay, that was my whole life, and then he tries to reach the limit, tries to face everything, and when nothing, when we have this situation when there's nothing important. I mean, everything can come, and let's see what happens. And in these stories, I think the most important is that you have to face something which changes your point of view. I mean, our European point of view, what we find terrible and horrible, and that's, oh no, it's not. Oh, we are losing democracy. Oh, we don't have coconut milk in the store. So what are we going to do? So it's just you can watch it from another way of. From another point of view, and of course it's also very important. And and the book it has got because it's quite rude. So I think we call it a trash theater, the guys, because it's two actors. I think two magnificent actors playing it. That they play the writer itself and all the other characters. Just like as torn personality. Also very important that talking about how a man behaves. I mean, how we feel that when we are sick. I mean, when I get fever, that I can feel that it's the end of the world. I mean, I get 39 Celsius fever, and I think I'm going to die. That's the stupid narcissistic man's thing, that my wife left me, so I can drink, I can do whatever you want. It's the end of the world. I'm the king of the nature. So how she dare to do something like this? And I think it's also we try to talk about this one with humor, and with try to be cruel enough to ourselves to to say that it's a bit too much what we think about ourselves. And also when you go to another cultural surround, it also becomes different. You see yourself that it's what I think of myself. I mean, it's Is it understandable or
Oh, yes. It gives a impression. Csaba, then I want to thank you very much for finding time to speak to us today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Obviously, it can go on for hours, maybe, with a glass of Tokai or a Lithuanian beer. Maybe we'll do that sometime when you'll come to Kaunas. But for now, thank you very much, and thank you all for listening. This was Teatro Stotelė, the podcast from National Kaunas Drama Theatre. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Naujų Teatro Stotelės pokalbių kviečiame klausytis kiekvieną trečiadienį.